Welcome back, City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I've had the pleasure of sitting down with one of our LaGrange Police Department finest. I have Corporal Wesley Ingle. Wesley, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alton. I'm glad to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you and always to talk about the things that are going on here within our city, and also to say thank you to you and the other men and women in uniform that keep our cities and streets safe. So thank you all for the job that you all do. Talk a little bit about your role there, Wesley, if you don't mind, in the traffic division.
I'm in the traffic division. I work mostly major wrecks during the day. Any serious injury, fatality, we get called out on. Sergeant Armstrong and Corporal and me. And unfortunately, we have to do traffic enforcement and try to get people to slow down and drive a little cautious because, you know, when there is an accident, there is also somebody always at fault in the accident. No, most of the majority of the time, I say 99% of the time, unless you have a medical or something, but that a person isn't aware they have a medical condition. Mm-hmm. A lot of times it's a failure to yield a right of way at a traffic light, a stop sign, a yield sign. And a lot of times it's following too closely. The person's in a hurry. The person in front of them are maybe not familiar with the area or not really in a hurry. The person behind them's in a hurry or they're not paying attention, so they slam on brakes and the person following them hits them and in turn causes a wreck. Sometimes it ends up being a 2 or 3 car accident where the last person actually hit one and knocked over in. And then you got disregarding the traffic light, which a lot of people, you know, yellow means basically that your green movement has been terminated, prepare to stop. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people will go through, they'll see yellow and go through, but by the time they get through, sometimes the time it takes them to get through the intersection is past a delay. Right. And then they end up having a collision, or if somebody turns green, they're in a hurry and they immediately, instead of waiting a few seconds to make sure nobody did disregard a light, take off, and that's usually what causes your collision.
And you know, you're talking about, I kind of smile when you said, you know, you're in a hurry, the person in front of you may not necessarily know where they're going. I found myself being in that situation a few times myself.
Yes, sir.
And you're like, why don't they just get out of the way? If you don't know where you're going, pull over and get off the road.
Right.
So you get a little irritated sometimes. But again, nothing is more careful or cautious than just taking the time.
Yes.
Because as you stated, we have visitors coming to the city, visiting the city that may not necessarily know the city like you and I know it.
Right.
And so they're looking around trying to make sure that they go down the right street and not go down a one-way street.
And that happens quite occasion during the day. I stopped the lady this morning. She turned coming down Battle. She turned right on Ridley. I'm like, stop, it's one way. Oh,
that's
okay,
right.
you know.
Yeah. And a lot of times, do you find a lot of time, I've seen a lot of cases that it may be someone that have a Troup County tag on it too.
Yes, sir. It does. I don't know whether they just, you know, because they're just not paying attention or actually got their mind on where they're going.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, in talking about, you made a lot of good points there, Wesley, talking about blocking the intersection, slowing down, not following too closely. And I know that you had an occasion to work an accident this morning. No one was injured seriously.
No,
talk a little bit about that accident, if you don't mind.
Well, we had a witness. Most of the witness, which is good, is what you call non-biased witnesses. It was like, say, you were sitting there at a red light and 2 people had a wreck. Mm-hmm. You don't know neither one of them. And it was actually a deputy, investigator with the sheriff's office was actually sitting there and was actually to tell us who actually ran the red light. Mm-hmm. The one van was traveling northbound on Morgan Street in the Lafayette Parkway, and from my understanding, the other lady was traveling westbound the Parkway, and she ran the red light, and they ended up having a wreck in the middle of the intersection, which that causes delay. Mm-hmm. It causes build up, and especially when the Parkway and you go up the Vernon with the square, you know, with the difference in the lights, that was backing up traffic. We had 2 wreckers there, the road blocked, and ambulances there, and so it takes a little while. You know, we have to try to direct the traffic. It takes, you know, it was 3 of us there. We were directing the traffic, trying to get the cars removed, you know, trying to get them medical attention. Was no serious injuries, but several went to the hospital to be checked out. So we get it cleared as quick as we can. Sometimes it takes a little while with the wreckers and the traffic, and that in turn bottles up the traffic, just like blocking the intersection.
That's right.
And throughout the city, there's signs that says "Do not block the intersection." Even if the light's green, you can't pull in the middle of the intersection, because 9 out of 10 times it might be green when you get under there. But before you get through the intersection, it's going to turn yellow and red. So basically, you're either blocking the other traffic, which causes more bottlenecking, as they say, you know, building the traffic back up, and also then if you go, then you're disregarding the traffic light, and you could be involved in an accident.
Absolutely. Talking about that, and I know, like you say, all of the intersections in our downtown area has the sign "Do not block intersection." Yes. What's the offense? I mean, what's the fine for that, Wes?
It's approximately around $100, and it's actually considered, and It's actual state law says do not. It's actually the code section is block an intersection, and we try to enforce as much as we can. A lot of times, it's peak value times when we got a lot of calls for service or a lot of wrecks at that time, and we're not able to get up. But we do. Usually, we stop somebody. Usually, we enforce it either with a written warning or a citation.
Okay, and people need to be aware of that, because I mean, you say we enforce that rule. I mean, because if you have a rule, then you have to enforce it because there's a reason for it. And I've seen and been in intersections where you have vehicles sitting right in the middle of it, and no traffic traveling the other direction can move because the vehicle is sitting there. And
Yes.
and it's important, like you said, you had to go to an accident this morning. If you got a car that's blocking an intersection, that hinders your response time getting to that accident.
And also the fire department, and the ambulance, because if we have a wreck, they're responding to help the people that's injured, and it could be somebody's family.
That's right. That's right.
So, and also another thing is if an ambulance or us or ambulance is responding and you're blocking the intersection, you're causing a problem and delaying the emergency vehicle from getting there. And it could be, you might not be aware of it, could be a family member that they're trying to get to, or an elderly person, or somebody that needs a medical attention or assistance right now. And them 2 or 3 seconds that you're delaying, it could, cause more complications for the situation.
Absolutely. You talk again. We're talking about safety driving tips, and I know that we have entered the daylight saving time. I want to talk a little bit about that too in driving. But we're also getting ready to enter into the holiday season, the Thanksgiving season, the Christmas season, and talk a little bit, Wesley, if you don't mind, about things that people can do to prepare themselves if they get ready to travel out of town, and also couple that with daylight saving time as it relates to kids being dropped off later in the evening when it's gotten darker.
See, right now you got the kids getting picked up at dark time, and now they're going to be picking up during the daytime. But when you're after school functions and sports activities, they're going to be getting dropped off later. So it's going to be nighttime where they're getting dropped off, where normally they're in the morning. And on the holidays, if you're traveling, you should probably always carry a blanket, some jumper cables, and water in case you are broke down, and a car charger, have your cell phone, because a lot of times you go, I mean, I don't see too many pay phones no more.
I know.
And you do have the phones on the interstate, but if it's cold out there, it's getting colder at night, it's dropping to 40-some degrees. If you are stranded, you got blankets, you got water, cell phone, you can get somebody to get to you, and you can get off on the road and be safe, and you can call 911 and know you're there when you're traveling, which is always good to have. And it's always good to have a map too, or a lot of phones, you have your GPSs on them, And so many people use their cell phones, and most of the time when they dial, the real people don't know the numbers because you don't actually dial it like you used to. You just kind of hit the name.
That's
so
right.
You get kind of enjoying the pleasure of that. Just boom, it's quick, And then and on the holiday season, a lot of people tend to put their purses in the car, leave their cars unlocked. Lock your cars, put your purse in your trunk, because there might not be nothing in your purse, but the person that's breaking in your car is not going to know that.
That's right.
And laying your cell phones out on the console or your wallet, or there might not be nothing in the wallet, but the person's breaking in your car, they don't know. They just see that that's a crime of opportunity, so they're going to try to go ahead and break into your car. And we've had a lot of internet autos on that. And when you're leaving businesses, we haven't had no spree of robberies, but if you're out of town somewhere like in Columbus or out of town, you're not going to be familiar with the area. Just keep your purse close. A lot of times women can take their purse and wrap it around their shoulder to try to keep an eye on it. And a lot of people leave stuff in the buggy. Especially women put their pocketbook in when they're shopping. Don't turn your head, because somebody might go in your pocketbook, because the holiday season coming up, people tend to carry a lot more money on them due to the fact they're buying Christmas and getting sales and stuff like that. And especially like Black Friday's coming up, and you're going to have a lot of increase in traffic at night time because all the sales, and people are going to be trying to go here and go there. So lock your cars up, secure your items in your trunk, because they don't know it's in your trunk.
That's right.
They just walking by looking at cars, and definitely lock your cars. And have your keys in your hand when you're walking to your car. That way you're ready to get in your car. If something startles you or somebody comes up on you, you could hit the horn on your car. You could, when you hit that clicker, most people have the clickers on the car that turns the headlights on and makes kind of noise to create a distraction for that person.
Absolutely. It's all are very good tips. And again, it sounds like just exercising a little common sense is all basically what you tell them to do.
Well, people tend to get in a hurry. I think they're just in a hurry to get here and go there.
Right.
And also, you got the Christmas parade up.
I was about to ask about that too.
And we try to let people know that it usually happens around the same time every year, which a lot of times there's street closures because we have to. especially at North Greenwood and Honeycutt, because that's where the floats always start out.
Okay.
In the Granger parking lot, and we have to block that road off so the floats can get in and out and the people can get set up for traffic. They can get in and out, and people that are actually in the parade to set up so the parade starts on time.
Right.
And normally it goes down, which is usually about the same route. It usually goes down North Greenwood, turns around uptown, comes down Main Street, comes back up to Highland, and turns left on Highland, ends up right back at the high school.
Okay.
That's where a lot of people pick up their children, and like I said, we try to let people know the closures are coming and what time to come. We try to get, and there are some detour signs we're putting out to try to get people around and stuff. So we try to tell people, hey, just try to find the best way home, and then the officer can give you directions. Just sometimes it takes a few minutes before we can get to you.
Exercise some patience, what I hear.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you now, because I know a lot of times, like I've seen and been to the Christmas parade, and a lot of them kind of sometimes dismantle right down on Ridley, right along Ruby Tuesdays and things of that nature. But then there's other parts of the parade that's continuing on. Is that a good thing for them to do, or should they try to take it back over to the?
They should probably take it back to high school, because the person that's driving the float is not going to know how many kids, or that way you can keep account of how many kids there are, or make sure nobody fell off or nobody got hurt, and that way actually the parents are picking them up, or somebody they know they're all getting picked up, and not just hopping off and saying, yeah, I got a ride.
Okay.
That way the school, and that way the people in the parade, and then that way it doesn't interfere with traffic and stuff like that. But stop. We just keep the parade continue flowing so we can open up back the roads and people can go about their travel.
Very good. Well, Wesley, it's always a pleasure to sit down with you and talk about just driving safety tips, and we definitely I want to get another ride along scheduled pretty soon. Okay.
Look forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, Wesley, thank you very much for being on the show today and sharing this information.
Thank you, Al.
And I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas
you
and
too.
a happy holiday season too.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment. Welcome back to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm sitting down with the organizer of the annual Christmas parade, Kim Skiff. Kim, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you. I think nothing kicks off the holiday spirit of things other than the Christmas parade. And this is your 8th year being the organizer of it?
8th year helping with the parade.
You have an Energizer Bunny battery somewhere, Kim?
I feel like that the day of this parade. I do, but it is fun leading up to it. So.
Well, good. Talk a little bit about why you're involved with the Christmas parade, if you don't mind.
I got involved with the parade when the women's group was over the parade with the Chamber of Commerce 8 years ago, and then they turned it over to the Chamber, Committee on the Chamber, and I was the chairman of that committee for a while. But just watching the spirit of this town with the Christmas parade really gets exciting, and that's one reason that I've just continued to do it. The main thing that we have is the volunteers, though. The volunteers make the Christmas parade. I mean, that's the only way that we could do it.
Absolutely.
And we're so fortunate with West Georgia Health. Patricia Rogers organizes our volunteers with West Georgia Health, and usually supplies us at least 20 volunteers.
Oh my.
So we could not do it without all the volunteers.
Well, we say thank you to all the volunteers, and I know Patricia does a great job. She helps
does.
me line up some guests here
Oh,
for
good.
occasion. Absolutely. But this is the 38th year that the Christmas parade has been held in downtown LaGrange.
It is. It's the 38th year, and we're excited this year because our Grand Marshal this year is Dr. Cliff Rainey.
Okay.
And he's an optometrist here in town with LaGrange Eye Clinic. He has been in LaGrange for 60 years with his eye clinic.
Okay.
And he set up his eye clinic and never left.
Oh my.
So he has done a lot for LaGrange. He helped with the industrial park when it was being developed. He also helped with Salvation Army. And that's such a big thing around the Christmas holidays too.
Absolutely.
So he has always remembered Salvation Army and has always volunteered his time with Salvation Army.
Well, very good. I can remember when he was down on Vernon Street, down kind of in the, we call the basement area.
Yes.
Way back when.
Way back when. That's exactly right.
Absolutely. And also, he's the Grand Marshal this year for the Christmas parade. And talk a little bit about the theme of the parade.
Well, the theme of the parade, we try to tie it in with the Grand Marshal. So this year we were brainstorming and we came up with the idea through the eyes of a child.
Oh.
So there are so many variations you could do on a float with through the eyes of a child. And we're really, really excited to see the children get excited about it.
That's right, absolutely. You know, it's always a pleasure to come out. And it seems like over the years, the parade has just grown larger and larger and larger. So I know that this year will be pretty much of the same, you know, with the number of entries. Talk about, I know that you all have various categories. Talk about the categories that are.
We have 6 categories in the parade. The first time entry is one of the categories.
Okay.
The church category, business category, civic category, and then we have small businesses and large businesses.
Okay.
So, and then our every one of those categories get first and second place. So we'll have judges that walk around starting at 4:30
Okay.
at the high school, LaGrange High School parking lot.
Okay.
And they will start judging the floats. And they can tell by, you know, the numbers. We have a list of all the floats that are in it, which category they're in.
Okay.
And then we have a director's award. Warren Adams has been our director of the Christmas parade for over 20 years. And he lines all the floats up at Granger, does all the instrumental, the background stuff, and he picks a float that exemplifies the best decorating for the theme, and that has just cooperated in the parking lot with him, you know, that has not given him any trouble, showed up on time, they were decorated. So he gets to pick the director's award, and that's a huge award for the Christmas parade.
Absolutely, because you talk, you know, as I was mentioning a moment ago, how they have grown over the course of time to get all those entries in line and to move them from that Granger Park, you know, along the route. That definitely takes some coordination and volunteers.
Oh, it definitely does. It definitely does.
Let me ask Kim, I know that there's a number of walkers that participate in the parade. Where do they stage?
We send them to St. Mark's. They all line up at St. Mark's, and that's mainly for safety purposes. If you know, that's a lot of the Cub Scout groups, if they're walking pets, you know, just the step groups. It just makes it a whole lot safer, and then we feed them into the parade when the parade leaves from LaGrange High parking lot.
You know, and then to be able to pull all those things together, the motorized, the walkers,
The bands.
and the bands,
Exactly.
that takes a lot of coordination. And you were talking about volunteers. I wanted to ask a question. If there was someone that was listening and they wanted to volunteer to help out with the parade, is it too late for them to do so?
Not at all. They can call the chamber and talk
Okay.
to Letitia Smith, and she will plug them in somewhere, or we'll get in touch with them and put them, you know, probably over at LaGrange High parking lot,
Okay.
helping us line up all the floats. Warren Adams, who, you know, is our director, I mentioned, he will get all the floats lined up at Granger, and there's cars, there's tractor trailers that come in, and they can come in as early as 3 o'clock
Okay.
to get to LaGrange High parking lot.
Okay.
And when they get there, he starts lining them up, and the judging starts at 4:30.
At 4:30. Also, we were talking about you trying to keep it 100 or less, and like I say, it has grown over the years. There is an entry fee, so talk about that for us.
There's
if
a
you don't mind.
$35 entry fee to be in the parade, and an unwrapped toy.
Okay.
So, you know, just with the holiday spirit, we try to remember the less fortunate.
That's right.
And so we collect the toys. We have collected them along the parade route also. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So if someone along the route wants to bring a toy,
Right, they
can
give it
just-
to Santa at the end of the parade.
at the end of the parade. That's right. Now, and the staging for the majority of it will take place at LaGrange High parking lot.
Exactly.
And then you got the walkers over at St. Mark. Dismantling of the
Yeah.
parade, and I know that's always a big thing for you as well. Talk about where you would like to see people dismantle.
Well, because over at Granger before the parade, we have some road restrictions. We close down Honeycutt.
Okay.
So when people drop off for the parade, we don't want you to drop off at North Greenwood. We'd rather drop off down at the track
Okay.
or across the street over on Highland. And it's always good to probably pick up where you drop off,
Okay.
you know, just to make it easier for everybody. When they come back to Granger, a lot of times the first person in the parade or the first few floats get back before the parade is even over. So we still have floats at LaGrange High parking lot. So we have to kind of wait to be able to pull them back in the parking lot,
Right.
and traffic does get a little congested. So it is smart to talk to your group or meet, your group, and just decide where you're going to meet,
Okay.
whether it's at Ruby Tuesday's parking lot or around Boyd Park after the parade is over.
Okay, all right. And I know that, we have walkers and there's a lot of kids, and you talked about the step groups and things of that nature. Sometimes we have our young people that are there, and always we talk about safety first.
Mm-hmm.
What advice you would give to the parents dropping off those
Tell you
young
what,
people?
that is so hard, because we see kids walking around lost. They may get dropped off at LaGrange High parking lot, and they really need to be down at St. Mark's. So before you drop off your children, if they're going to be in the parade, please make sure they're with an adult,
Okay.
or with somebody with their group, and don't just drop them off hoping they're going to find somebody.
Absolutely. It's so important, because a lot of times I always enjoy the parade, and I always, of course, think safety as well. And you see some of the kids wandering around with their instruments or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I hope their parents
Hope they
find them.
find somebody.
Well, I think today, and with the technology, they either texting or calling sometimes.
Exactly,
too.
yes.
But even with that, there are streets that are going to be closed. And you mentioned Honeycutt, and they just need to understand, as we had Corporal Engel on talking before you came on, talking about some of the street closures.
Okay,
so
good.
they will not be able to just go right to where
Shoot
they
down
need to
that
go. But before we get ready to leave out, go over those areas, those categories one more time for us, if you don't mind, Kim.
That is fine. The categories for the parade are first time entry. If you've
Okay.
never entered the Christmas parade, we'll put you in the first time entry category.
Okay.
There's a church category for any church that wants to enter a float, a business category, school category. The business would be a small business, civic club category, and then a large business or industry,
Okay.
and then the Director's Award.
The Director's Award. Very good. Every year, like I say, is just exciting, and it seems like the crowd grows too
It
as
does,
the
it
years
grows.
goes along.
It's amazing, because you see how many people are in the parade, and you think there's not going to be a soul watching it.
That's right.
And you get downtown, and it's just triple the people that are in the parade.
Absolutely,
So it's wonderful.
It is lined up. Volunteers, if they wanted to get in touch with someone,
They want to
said-
get in touch with Letitia Smith
That's
at the
it.
chamber.
Okay.
That would be great. We do appreciate Patricia Rogers, like I said, with West Georgia Health,
Okay.
providing all the volunteers that she provides.
Okay.
We could not do this Christmas parade without volunteers.
Absolutely. Well, we want to thank you, Kim, for taking this upon your time and putting it on your plate for 8 years now, making sure that the City of LaGrange and surrounding area, because I think, we have some bands I've seen come far away as Columbus, I believe, to participate in our parade. So that's just a testament to how well organized it is. And so I want to say to you and to all the other volunteers, thank you for providing this entertainment for us during the holiday seasons.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you very much, and want to go ahead and just wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving and a very Merry Christmas,
Well,
too.
thank you. You too.
All right, thank you, Kim. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like for you to stay tuned. We'll be back for more City Week in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for City Week this week. My guests have been from the LaGrange Police Department, Corporal Wesley Engel, as he talked about some common safety driving tips that we can exercise in and around town, and also to be aware that the holiday season is coming up, so by all means, take extra precaution to be safe. Ladies and gentlemen, also had on today the organizer of the annual Christmas parade, Kim Skip, as she talked about it coming up on December the 4th at 6 o'clock in our downtown area. So keep in mind those safety tips that she also gave that for dropping off your kids and picking them up. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed those interviews. And as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.